I'm Shawn Warswick, and I am a certified Bob Ross instructor. And today we're going to be doing this fun little painting. This is my first landscape. So let's explain what's going on up here. This is an 18 by 24 inch canvas, and I just put some painter's tape here. I'm going to make a little border. And then I've coated the entire canvas with Bob Ross liquid white. Okay, and so it is all slick. It's ready to go. I've got a palette full of paint. This is a great painting if you're new. If you've never done this before, I would try this one first because it's very few colors and you're not going to get lost in mixing colors and whatnot. So we've got our titanium white, very firm, dry oil paint. This is Prussian blue. It's a very strong, colder blue with the mountain mix because we're going to have some mountains. This is Van Dyke brown. And then for highlights, we've got cadmium yellow. All right. Now, I'm still going to use this dirty brush. Doesn't matter. It's got some liquid white. That's okay. Just pull out some of that Prussian blue and tap it into the bristles. When you're tapping, you kind of want to tap from the side a little bit. If you go straight down and you beat the devil out of it, it kind of messes the brush up. You come up here into the corner, and all I'm doing is these little X strokes. Bob calls them crisscross strokes. Okay. And I'm varying the pressure. I'm not going to come in here and sock it to the canvas. Now, one of the things that I suggest is that as you're going along, that you kind of pay attention to what's happening up here. Step back for a minute, second, whatever. If you don't like what's happening, change it. Don't get to the end of the painting and say, oh gosh, that was really bad. And leave these holes in the sky. Don't get rid of all of them. Okay, that'll be where our clouds are going to go. Okay. I think I'm going to put a cloud here, maybe another cloud here, maybe one in here. And then I know I'm going to have some water down here. And so you take your brush and your strokes should be horizontal. Don't come in at an angle, okay? And as you get to the middle, you're going to lift up, kind of like you're sweeping. So it's a sweeping motion, okay? Just like that. We just come up. I don't know where the water's going to be exactly, but I know it's somewhere in here. And so that should be good enough. And as you're sweeping it, kind of leave a little area here that has very little blue, and it'll turn out to be kind of this shimmering part of your water. Okay, we take a dry 2-inch brush, and make sure this brush is dry. I haven't cleaned it or anything. And you're going to start up here, and we're just going to blend all of this together. It's going to get those lines. I don't think you can see it, but there's a bunch of little lines from the bristles. I don't want anybody to see the hose, so that's why we're doing this. I'm going to take this dirty 1-inch brush. I'm going to pull, hopefully you can see that, pull some paint out. I'm going to load it, and I'm just going to get some on the tips of the brush, and I'm mostly looking at like that corner. Okay, maybe that 25 or 30%. Just beat the brush a little bit, not too violently. Start here, and we're just going to tap in these cloud shapes. trying to get this edge to go into the blue a little bit so that it'll show up. Gonna get some more paint into the brush, and these are all Bob Ross brushes. This is the 2-inch brush, and we've got kind of one that's going out, we've got kind of one that's there. Looks to me like there should be one somewhere in here. Very gentle. And look at that. We've got a happy little sky already. Yay! Enough messing around with the sky though. My favorite thing to paint are mountains. So we're gonna take that mountain mix, and the mountain mix, Bob Ross sells it in a tube. If you've watched enough Bob Ross, you know he usually takes the blue, the black, the crimson, and some of the brown, and he just kind of mixes it together. A few years back, they said, well, why don't we just sell it as a paint, mix it? So that's kind of the lazy man's way, and I like doing it that way. Much easier. Take some of that on your knife, that little roll, that happy little roll of paint, and then we got to figure out, okay, where's our mountain going to live today? And I never place it directly center. You don't want to put it like right here, okay? You want to go up and to the left or to the right of center. I'm going to come up here. I left this kind of whitish on purpose. So I know I'm going to have a peak kind of maybe right in here. This will be the main peak right there. Just come up here and just put it in. Get brave. Don't be afraid. And then this part, you're going to try to push the paint through the canvas. Now it's not going to go through the canvas, but that's kind of the idea. Just gonna dry clean, get some of that light paint off, okay? What we're gonna do is just pull this paint out. Just pull this paint out. And you're gonna get these little variations. Leave those, don't try to make it all black, okay? But always take your brush and kind of shimmy up to the edge, okay? Don't come in here and go like this. You're not gonna be able to see what you're doing. And if you're doing this at home, you'll be able to see kind of where your highlights and shadows are already naturally starting to appear. Amazing what a knucklehead can do with just a little bit of practice. Now it's time for some snow. My favorite thing to do on mountains is to paint some snow. So hopefully you can see this. You take your paint, stretch it out as thin as flat as you can get it. Not thin, but flat. Okay. Really get tough with it. Okay. Take your strong pill in the morning. Take your vitamins. Come through here and get yourself a little roll of paint, a noodle of spaghetti, maybe a noodle and a half. And this is the most important part. Do not hold the knife like this. Do not put your finger on the blade. That's no. You're gonna hold it. This knife should be so gently held that it's almost gonna fall, okay? If you're holding it that lightly, you're good to go. Also, you should hold it with your fingertips. Just barely, I'm barely holding it, okay? It almost feels like it's gonna fall out of my hand. And then I'm gonna come up here, I'm just gonna pick this peak, I guess. All right. And let the paint kind of grab. And then you just zip down the mount. But notice my fingers are not on the blade. I see that all the time with students, and this is the worst problem. Okay, if you do that, it's gonna look like you're icing a cake. We don't want that. Maybe this peak, maybe he's behind, maybe this guy's behind this guy. So we're just gonna put a little bit there. Maybe this guy cuts him off. So it's gonna kind of come like that. That breaking only happens if you're holding the knife very, very lightly. I'm kind of following the highlights and the shadows that the brush has made for me, okay? That only happens if you step back, though. I mean, it's gonna be there, but you gotta listen to the painting. You know, you gotta step back and kind of see what is my painting telling me that it wants or it doesn't want. So I'm gonna get some white, taking some of that white. And notice, because I've heard, this is one question that comes up. Do I really have to use Bob Ross paintings to paint like Bob Ross? I mean, I guess you don't, but notice the white. Notice how thick and dry this paint is. I can turn the palette upside down and it doesn't fall, which is a good thing because there's a hardwood floor down here and the wife would kill me if it fell. But I know it's not gonna fall. If you get other brands, you know, you just go to the art store and they tell you, don't worry about it, get whatever. It's not gonna do that, okay? And I know that from hard experience. So keep that in mind. When you mix the blue with the white for your shadows, leave it kind of marbledy like that. But it's the same process. You're gonna come across, get that little roll of paint, and we're gonna come up here. In my mind, that peak is actually the furthest away. So we're gonna do that guy first. I should say also, when I'm doing the shadows, I don't use the entirety of that blade. There's nothing that says you have to use the whole thing. Because notice, like right here, if I did that, it would be all messed up. So you can tip your blade different ways, okay? Another little secret, when I'm doing this, and I learned this from Nick, you bump that white paint there and it'll pull down little lines of it so it looks like there's light spilling over. I'm gonna actually clean my 2-inch brush out and just beat the devil out of it. I'm gonna drop things. And once I'm done dropping things, I wipe this on a paper towel to make sure it's dry. And then you're gonna come and we're just gonna very lightly tap. Very lightly tap. And that's gonna make it look like there's all this fog or mist right here at the foot of the mountain. It's really gentle. If you're not careful, you can go like this and this whole mountain it'll just blow away. It'll look like there's some kind of Armageddon or something happening. You don't want that. Now, I'm gonna take some of this dark color onto my brush, maybe pull it over to the side here. Okay, so that's just the mountain mix. Notice we're not using a whole lot of paint tonight. I'm gonna add some white to it. I wanna lighten this down. We're just brush mixing this, don't sweat this out. We're not doing rocket science here. This is oil painting. I think that's about the color I want. I'm gonna come up here. We're gonna put in some hills. I'll call them footy hills. We're gonna put in some little footy hills. But I'm gonna leave some of this kind of smokiness open, okay? And then I'm gonna come back in here and I'm gonna start pulling up thousands of little trees. And this is a very gentle touch. Don't come in here and push hard. And I've, told people for years, I'm not an artist in the sense that I never really took art classes. The last time I had an art class was high school, and that was back in the Stone Ages. Take that dirty 2-inch brush. I'm just gonna kind of tap out the bottom of those hills. We need that mist that it's creating because it's mixing with the liquid white and the other stuff that's on the canvas already. Okay, we need that mist, that diffused look. But now we're going to take a little bit more dark. I want this to be darker. We're going to come here, and I want this set of hills kind of cut those off. That's why I did that misting. Suddenly there's thousands and thousands of little trees way back in there. I mean, it doesn't take you but 30 seconds to do this. Okay, then we're gonna come through. I'm gonna try to figure out, where's the land? I think the land's right there. All right, so we're gonna get that brush. We're gonna pull. Now it's time to get serious. I want to put some land right in here, I'm gonna have some land right in here. Okay, so we're gonna have two sets of land areas. Pick up an old fan brush. This is the Bob Ross number 6 fan brush. And I'm just gonna go through that dark color. I'm gonna load this guy up full of paint. Okay, so we're just gonna come, well, I don't know, right there. Well, we sure are now. This tree is gonna go all the way down to about right there. And Bob did 2 types of trees. I'm gonna do my favorite, which is the push-up. He tended to do them down. I prefer the push-ups. It's just whatever you prefer. I'm gonna come in and we're just gonna use the corner of that brush. We're just gonna touch the canvas. And then as we start to come down, we're gonna add more pressure. And so it's gonna start to look like that, okay? And it's gonna be like you're stepping down the steps. So that's to the left. So now we're gonna come to the middle and then step to the right, middle, 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 step to the left, and leave some blanks in here. That's okay. Once your brush starts to break open like that, it's time to add some more paint. You're just going to do that all the way down the tree, okay? And you're applying more pressure as you get down here because the tree's going to grow bigger towards the bottom. It doesn't have to be, perfect either. Trees are like us. All sorts of imperfections, just like me. Get some more paint. Now you know how to do them. Maybe he's got a friend, and his friend lives right here. Okay? That's his friend Joe. I don't know. Or Larry. And if you've done this right, you can kind of see way back in the distance there, and you'll be able to see through the trees. All right, one more. If you got 2 trees, next thing you know, got a third. The trees get together. It's Junior. Reality is, this tree's not going to really come to life until we start putting the highlights on it. Now it's bush time. Probably my second favorite thing next to mountains. Take that dirty brush again. You're gonna pull it through the paint, the dark paint. Now I always pull it with the crimped side towards me, okay? It's just kind of a personal thing. But I'm gonna pull it. You're gonna keep this brush straight up and down, and I'm gonna pull until I start to get like a stippling stucco effect. If that's in the paint, it's also on the brush. Very important. Come up here, and I'm just gonna start right there. And very gently, I'm gonna push in the indication of these little bushes. Just want to get this dark. So we need dark in order to show light. Bob often said, gotta have a little darkness so that you can see the light. Now, we get a 1-inch brush. Take your brush and pull it through that yellow. You want it to be parallel to the palette. Got to get that stuccoing effect, and that's on your brush. Take that brush, turn it up. That point, the crimped edge, which I was pulling towards me, is facing up. And you're just gonna very gently, I mean, that is the most gentle touch. And boom, you get a happy little bush. So I'm gonna take a clean fan brush and we're going to highlight these trees. And what I'm doing is I'm just pulling it through the paint, and then I'm gonna give it a little push into the paint. So I got a ridge of paint on the edge of the paintbrush. And we're just gonna lightly tap. And that paint will hopefully just jump off. Once this dries down, it's going to cool down a little bit, so it's not going to be as bright. So keep that in mind. Sometimes I'll highlight things and I'm like, wow, that is super bright. And then like a day and a half later, as it started to dry, it doesn't look as bright. And we're starting to get green now because there's a lot of blue in that mountain mix that I used, the dark color. So it's gonna turn into this pretty cool green, olivey green. And suddenly you've got these really cool highlights. Bob used to say he was fascinated by all of this, and he had painted 30-something thousand paintings, and it never ceased to amaze him, and I can see why. Okay, take your brown, because if all of this is just sitting here in the water, need some land to hold it up. And zoop. We're gonna put some land in here, using the knife, kind of the same technique that we used on the mountains. Okay, hopefully you can kind of see how that land is coming down. I'm purposely making it thicker here than over here. Okay. And that'll kind of give it, it's like pointing you into the painting. And take some white. Well, you can see that. Again, I just leave it marbled. Take your little roll of paint. Very gently. Get some highlights on that mud, dirt. You can even take that same color, get an even smaller roll of paint. I mean, this is really just maybe the size of a needle. And you can kind of cut in some water lines here. I think we've got one more element that we need to do. We're going to kind of close this in. So I'm going to put some land, and it's going to be just like right in here, and then we're going to be done. So take that same dark color on the brush, and over here, I'm going to just push in these bushes, all these little happy bushes, just right in here. Sometimes when I'm teaching this, I'll put a tree here, but I've got so much paint here with the mountains, I don't want to risk it tonight. Take your palette, once again, come back up into here to that yellow, Get some more of that yellow. Man, that brush is full of paint. This brush should be full of paint. It should be heavier, okay? And when you're highlighting it, you're gonna just take a smidge above the dark. Like, you're not gonna come up here, okay? But you're not gonna start down here either. Start like maybe right there. I don't know if you can see that. And then it's just like that. I tend to wipe the brush on the palette here just to get some of that green off. Because yes, a thin paint will stick to a thick paint, but you're still gonna pull up some dark, no matter what. Don't cover up all the dark, because to me, that means that you're gonna lose some fullness. There's shadows and stuff in there, who knows? Maybe that's where the little squirrels and the bunny rabbits live. They gotta have, as Bob said, they gotta have a place to hide. Once you've done that, you're essentially done. You can come in and kind of scrape in the indication, some sticks. You can even pull through the paint. You come up here and you can plow through the paint, and that'll sharpen up the edge, sharpen up the tops, I should say, of these trees. Just like that. You can kind of come through the bottom here and do the same and make it look like there's sticks and twigs. We're going to do a few birds right now before we wrap this up. So I'm going to take my Bob Ross script liner brush, and I'm going to come through this paint. And I've got a lot of paint thinner in it, so it's going to turn this almost like ink. It should look like water or ink. And then I'm twisting the brush and I'm pulling it forward. So sharp, kind of like a pencil that's just been sharpened. Okay, I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna say, well, I don't have any trees here, so guess where the birds are gonna be? 3 little birds right here. And the story behind the birds is that these are, well, I thought I've had 3 miniature schnauzers who've gone over the Rainbow Bridge. And so these are the 3 schnauzers. That's Chuck, that's Dolly, and then last but not least was my BFF. My love was Eleanor. She passed during COVID, so we're gonna put her here. She had cancer, but there we go. Those are our 3 birds and their memories. Really, the only thing that you have left is you can sign your name. I often sign my name once it's dried or it's been drying for a few days. It doesn't have to be solidly dry, but unlike Bob, I usually don't do it when it's soaking wet like this, okay? Just makes it easier. Oh, I forgot there's one last step. How could I forget that? We gotta have the moment of truth here. Now, sometimes, especially if you're using contact paper, and then I'll let you guys go, sometimes the paint will kind of leak out a little bit. It did, the liquid white got under there just a smidgen. I'm not gonna do anything about on this one, but if it does, what I tend to do is I'll have like a tree or a bush break the border right there, and that kind of covers up that mistake, and it looks kind of cool. So this is my first landscape. I hope you try it. I hope you've had a good time. Please like the videos, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.